Hey everyone, it's Courtney, and today I'm going to be talking to you guys about forgiveness. Now, forgiveness is something that can be really difficult for us to do in our everyday lives. Sometimes people do things to me that I feel like I could never forgive them. But in Genesis 50:15 through 21, it gives us a great example of a man who was put through a lot of stress and a lot of terrible things happened to him, yet he still forgave the people that made him stressed and made him go through all those things. So Genesis 50:15 says, "When Joseph's brothers saw that their father was dead, they said, 'What if Joseph holds a grudge against us and pays us back for all the wrongs we did to him?' So they sent word to Joseph saying, 'Your father left these instructions before he died. This is what you are to say to Joseph. I ask you to forgive your brothers the sins they did wrong and that they committed in treating you so badly. Now please forgive the sins of the servants of God your father.' When their message came to him, Joseph wept. His brothers came to him and threw themselves down before him. 'We are your slaves,' they said. But Joseph said to them, 'Don't be afraid, for am I in the place of God? You intended to harm me, but God intended it for good, to accomplish what is now being done, the saving of many lives. So then, don't be afraid. I will provide for you and your children.' He reassured them and spoke kindly to them." Now, I'm sure most of us know the story of Joseph, and he was put through a lot of agony from his brothers, his own brothers. Now, if I was ever put in that position, I know it would be really hard for me to forgive if something like that was done to me. But I think there's a certain freedom in forgiveness that we sometimes can miss. And I think one of the first things we have to realize when we're going to forgive someone is we have to understand our place when it comes to God. We are not in God's place by any means. He is the ultimate judge, and we have to understand where we stand. When Joseph's brothers approached him and they, came before him and said, like, "We are so sorry," he told them, "Am I in the place of God?" He knew that he's not in God's place. He doesn't have any right to sit there and judge them because he's just as sinful as them. And I think another great thing to realize when we are trying to forgive someone is we have to make sure we have the right attitude. I think a lot of times we can forgive just to say it, but not really mean it in our hearts. And we see that Joseph's attitude towards his brothers was very humbling. He could have sent them to jail. He could have had them killed. Like, he was in a really high place. And instead, he sat there and wept, and he was humbled by the fact that they, asked for his forgiveness. Another thing is really important is to understand that the treatment of others really affects how we live. Joseph had every reason to be bitter and angry and upset with his brothers because they put him through a lot. But instead, he chose forgiveness. He followed the example that God has set. I mean, if we look back at it, God forgave us and forgives us multiple times. And the things that we do that really make him upset and hurt him, he still chooses to forgive us daily. When we let go of this pent-up anger and judgment towards people that we need to forgive, we can really increase our quality of life and increase the way we live. I can tell you from personal experience, when you forgive someone that you have just been holding a grudge upon for such a long time, it is such a freeing feeling. I think if we learn to submit to God's sovereignty and his goodness, and when we are wrong, to assume the attitude of humility and honesty in love, like being honest to people and being humble towards them and being caring towards the people we love who have offended us and we need to forgive them, like, we will grow so much in our relationship with Christ. So my challenge to you is to make a list of people in your life that you really feel like you need to forgive and just pray for them. Just come before God and be like, these are the people in my life that I truly need to forgive. And just humble yourself and realize you are not in God's place and he is the ultimate judge and defender. So just, give those names to him and just pray for your heart to be humbled. And you will honestly see the awesomeness that comes from the awesome freedom that comes from forgiving people. And that's all I have for you today. So thank you.